Hey chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I am going to show you the rematch that was played between Redfish and me in the chess championship. This game is very adventurous because Redfish just crushed and destroyed me with the black pieces, which is almost impossible. I will share the chess tactics that he used in the game. His brand new version is just overwhelming. So, let's get started without wasting any time. I started the game with e4, Redfish played c5, and knight f3 followed in the game. Here, black can choose from many moves and opportunities that lie in the Sicilian defense. He chose the d6 variation. In the open variation of the Sicilian, we have knight f6, knight c3, and a6 to prevent any sort of knight entry, but after a6, he created a weakness on the b6 square for my bishop, where my knight can swiftly march into that square. I played bishop e3 as planned, and I will initiate my attacks by pushing forward my kingside pawns as well. You know the plan very well. I will play long castle. Let's see what happens next. After e5, the knight moves back. Instead of playing bishop e7 or knight c6, Redfish just moved up his bishop to e6, and after bishop e8, he castled. A very romantic and curious move it is, as we both castled on opposite sides of the board, which means that I will push forward my pawns to initiate my attack in Redfish's area, and he will try to accumulate his pawns with the queen's knight to put pressure on my queen side. Redfish becomes red with anger because I defeated him yesterday, and he wants to win the game today. But I will not let that happen so easily. Here, Redfish can go with knight c6, but I will put my knight on d5, that is a vulnerability, which is why he just played rook c8, and after g5, the knight moves to h5, it blocks my pawn from moving forward, which is why, after a couple of moves, we have e5 on the board. Redfish is very determined to spread the seeds of war and destroy my queenside with his two great bishops. He can also break the center with d5, all moves are possible, which is why I played knight d5. After the exchanges, I didn't capture the bishop with my queen, instead, I captured the bishop with the pawn to get the c6 outpost, where my knight can easily arrive on the board. Which is why, after a few moves, you can see that knight c6 can arrive on the next move. Now, Redfish is trying to plant a flag on Mars to declare that he wins the race to reach Mars first. So, after a couple of moves, he just played b4 to conquer my kingside, and it is also a sacrificing pawn, but you know what? In every chess piece or pawn sacrifice, there is a hidden strategy, similar to this position. If you dare to capture the pawn, knight takes d5 will arrive on the board, sacrificing another piece in the game. The point is that after you capture it, the c2 pawn will be weak, where he will capture the pawn, and after that, a check and one repeated move later, rook takes b4 will come with the idea of attacking the b2 pawn. White has to play b3 in order to secure that pawn, leaving me with no other choice. Then, after rook c3 attacking the pawn, I will consider rook d3. If rook d3 tries to protect that pawn, then black will play the smashing move that can crush my position and queen and knight by playing rook b5. This position will be over for me. After rook takes knight, you can see that I will lose the queen and the game very badly. So, let me provide you an amazing quote for you. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison, and expecting the other person to die. So, going back to the position, we discovered that accepting the pawn sacrifice is a trap, like digging a hole and covering it with fruits and gold, and when you dare to take that gold and fruit, you will be trapped in the dug ground. So, after capture and recapture above, we have to make an effort not to let black open up the files, and after a couple of moves, we have bishop d3 to join the bishop on this diagonal. You can see that black's position is very secure. Redfish is doing a very good job with the black pieces, and here, Redfish didn't capture the b5 pawn, as he knows the vulnerability behind that because he is a brand new chess player and AI who was made to compete against me. Redfish rolls out the red carpet for the knight to secure his position. Therefore, I played knight a5 followed by knight c6. After a couple of moves, we have some strong moves, and I played h5 to close the file. The point is that you cannot capture the h5 pawn. As I told you, in every sacrifice, there is a hidden strategy and tactics that you cannot see with your normal eye. you have to use your intellect and the third eye to see the transcendental and tactical movements. The point is that if you capture the pawn, then after capture, I even sacrificed my rook, as you can see. And after knight takes h5, the queen goes to h4, putting pressure through this file. The knight cannot move, the bishop has to move back to f8. After queen takes knight, bishop g7 followed by queen takes check. The game will be just over for you after I push forward my pawn. The point is that after you capture the pawn and I capture, I am pressurizing the d6 pawn, the king cannot move, also, the rooks are stuck in jail, and the black queen also cannot move. I will simply move my queen here and play bishop a5 as soon as possible, and the position will be just paralyzed for you. It will be a 6-point advantage for me. I will not show you the further variations, but yeah, I will just win the game. So, going back to the position, as black cannot capture the pawn, black just captures the g5 pawn, and I double up my rooks. A few moves later, we have queen g1 to put pressure on the bishop, and regardless of your pawn moves, they cannot protect the bishop, which is why the bishop moves back, and I capture the pawn. Your pawn on h7 is under attack, and after capturing, I capture the h7 pawn simply to put pressure on the queen. Many chess players here might consider queen c8 to protect the queen, but I capture the pawn on g6 simply to put more pressure on the king. After the exchanges occurred, the king moves slightly to protect himself from the queen's attack. The point is that in this position, I can play bishop f5, or you can see that the queen is just helpless and paralyzed on the 8th rank. She just cannot move, which is why the king moves. And I will consider bishop f7 with the idea of playing queen g8, and the square on e7 is well protected. The black queen will be harassed, and it will be a game over situation for redfish. Alright, so going back to the original position, we discovered that the queen cannot move, which is why the queen captures my rook, and after the rook exchanges occurred, we have a few more moves to reach the c8 square. After a check and a few moves later, we have queen f7, and I am just trying to attack black's position, but black is doing a very good job. I am creating pressure on the g6 pawn, and he just captured the c2 pawn, sacrificing the rook, because after the capture, e4 happened in the game. He wants to consider rook a1 check, which would lead to a checkmate, so I need to block that attack, and after rook here, bishop c2, he just grabbed the bishop. After a couple of moves, you can see that I have only a knight and queen against his full army, and he's pushing his first pawn. At this point, black cannot capture the knight on f6 because of queen e4, where I will create some pressure on the pieces. Alright, so going back to the position, the knight wasn't captured, we just have e2 and a queen check. Again, you cannot capture my knight because there is queen to d4 check, and I will win the rook on the next move. So going back, we just have some sort of checks, and at the end of the day, he promoted to a new queen a few moves later, and you can see that it is completely winning for him. I don't know why I lost the game, but I sacrificed my queen, and knowing that I would lose the game, I got checkmated. I am very angry about that. I lost against a cockroach. He is nothing in front of me. I will bring my new version, Stockfish 17, to compete against him. Until then, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, take care, see you soon.